What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another fabulous day of ELA1 with Mr. Williamson, your favorite class of the day. It's good to see you. Congratulations on finishing your first day of live classes over Zoom. You guys did really well with it. Attendance was really good, can keep getting better, as well as what we were able to accomplish was good, but could keep getting better. So keep that focus, keep that energy as we go towards Christmas break. It will show in your grades massively. Trust me. Okay, so let's get it kicking with the quote of the day, which comes from a man named Isaac Asimov. He said, "Violence is the last refuge of the incompetent." In other words, if you're too dumb or too incompetent, then you resort to violence. That's going to bring me tie in a little bit to our daily objective, what I want you to be able to do by the end of the day. I can explain the significance of an act of violence on the ranch. So I'm not telling you what the act of violence is yet, but you're going to explain why an act of violence in today's pages is significant. Let's get to it. Oh, but first we got to do some active vocab. Okay, everyone, so we have two new words coming to you, and we're going to review one old word that is important for today's lesson. So the first word is cower. Cower means crouch down in fear. A way that cower could be used in a sentence: the puppy cowered under the kitchen table during the thunderstorm. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and use the word cower in a sentence of your own. Our second vocab word is solemn. So solemn means serious or deeply sincere. Okay? So think of someone being serious or deeply sincere. A way this could be used in a sentence: the mood of the room was solemn after the principal announced the sad news over the loudspeaker. So now what I want you to do is use the word solemn in a sentence of your own. Okay, so the last word, this is an old word that I just want to review because it's very important for today's lesson. The word is pugnacious. Pugnacious means eager to argue and fight. A way that could be used in a sentence: the pugnacious bully continued screaming insults at his victims, eager to argue and ready to fight. I got one question about the word pugnacious coming to you now. Okay, everyone, so what I need you to go ahead and do now is get your Of Mice and Men novel out and open to page 61. Remember that when you read with me, you become a better reader. Not only that, but I'm going to need you to look back at certain things in the book, so you're going to need to have it open. Our focus for these pages, we're going to read a short chunk this time. What does Curly do that is pugnacious? It's eager to fight or argue. And then secondly, why does Curly target Lenny? So Curly's going to get pugnacious. Why does he target Lenny? So pay attention to those things in this short section we're going to read. Okay, everyone, so we're going to start about halfway down page 61 at voices were approaching from outside. So just quickly, what's about to happen, George, Lenny, and Candy, where we left off yesterday, were talking about their dream farm and all the things that they were going to do. Now, Slim and Curly are going to enter the bunkhouse with Carlson, and they're going to be kind of in an argument. While they're in this argument, it quickly starts to involve George, Lenny, and Candy as well. So pay attention to that and what they're arguing about. So voices were approaching from outside. George said quickly, "Don't tell nobody about it. Just us three and nobody else. They liable to can us, so we can't make no stake. Just go on like we was gonna buck barley the rest of our lives. Then all of a sudden someday we'll go get our pay and scram out of here." Lenny and Candy nodded, and they were grinning with delight. "Don't tell nobody," Lenny said to himself. Candy said, "George? Huh? I'd have shot that dog myself, George. I shouldn't ought to let no stranger shoot my dog." The door opened. Slim came in, followed by Curly and Carlson and Whit. Slim's hands were black with tar, and he was scowling. Curly hung close to his elbow. Curly said, "Well, I didn't mean nothing, Slim. I just asked you." Slim said, "Well, you've been asking me too often. I'm getting gosh dang sick of it. If you can't look after your own gosh dang wife, what do you expect me to do about it? You lay off of me." I'm just trying to tell you I didn't mean nothing, said Curly. I just thought you might have saw her. Why didn't you tell her to stay the hell home where she belongs, said Carlson. You let her hang around bunkhouses pretty soon, you're going to have some pin in your hands and you won't be able to do nothing about it. Curly whirled on Carlson. You keep out of this lest you want to step outside. Carlson laughed. You gosh dang punk, he said. You tried to throw a scare into Slim, and you couldn't make it stick. Slim threw a scare into you. You're yellow as a frog belly. I don't care if you're the best welter in the country. You come for me and I'll kick your gosh dang head in off. Kenny joined the attack with joy. Glove full of Vaseline, he said disgustedly. Curly glared at him. His eyes slipped on past, and they lighted on Lenny. And Lenny was still smiling with delight at the memory of the ranch. Curly stepped over to Lenny like a terrier. What the hell you laughing at? Lenny looked blankly at him. Huh? Then Curly's rage exploded. Come on, you big bastard. Get up on your feet. No big son of a bitch is going to laugh at me. I'll show you who's yellow. Okay, everyone, so we have 3 questions coming your way real quick. They'll be fast. So, you see this scene happening where Curly and Slim are in an argument, and yet, for some reason, Curly's anger turned towards Lenny. We'll see about that why. We'll see why in a second. What I want you to do is, I'm not going to read this whole passage, but it's kind of what we just read. So what I want you to do is select 2 words or phrases from this section that's on the screen, which are pugnacious. Remember, pugnacious means eager to argue or fight. So pick out 2 words or phrases that are pugnacious. Okay, so some ones I picked out. So Curly says, lest you want to step outside, meaning step outside and fight. Also, Carlson calls Curly a gosh dang punk. And Carlson says, you come for me and I'll kick your gosh dang head off. And also, Curly turns to Lenny there at the end and says, what the hell are you laughing at? Okay, so we see a lot of pugnacious language. People who are eager to start these fights and these arguments. We're going to pay attention to how this builds up into a very drastic event. So reread this sentence below, and you're going to see this quite a bit through these pages. Curly stepped over to Lenny like a terrier. If you're not familiar, a terrier is a type of dog, generally on the smaller side of breeds, but can be very ferocious, as you see in this picture. So, question 2, how might this description comparing Curly to a dog reinforce Curly's pugnacious characterization? So how does comparing him to a dog help reinforce the idea that he's pugnacious? Answer in 1 to 2 sentences now. So it seems like Curly is sniffing out or looking to pick a fight with Lenny, and Lenny is blindsided. Curly seems to be picking a fight for fight's sake, and he chooses a victim that is socially powerless but physically powerful. So he picks on Lenny because he is socially has no power, even though he is physically strong. So let's go on to question 3 now. Explain one reason why Curly's rage lighted on Lenny. Okay, so Curly has all this rage. He's mad at Slim, then he's mad at Carlson, he's mad at Candy for a second, but then all of his rage turns towards Lenny. So explain one reason why Curly's rage lighted on Lenny. Think back to when we talked about the Napoleon complex, aka little man syndrome. Answer this in 1 to 2 sentences now. Okay, so a few possible reasons why Curly's rage turned towards Lenny. 1, he thought Lenny was laughing at him. Lenny was actually just smiling because he was still thinking about the dream farm, but he thought he was laughing at him. 2, probably the more prevalent one, is that Curly, short man, has Napoleon complex. Remember, Napoleon complex is when you're a little guy and you feel like you need to prove yourself, so you always try to fight big people. So he's drawn to picking on larger guys like Lenny. And then lastly, Lenny is innocent, and he's vulnerable to attacks by a villain person like Curly. So he becomes the easy target.